A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi zidni ilma. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Today we are going to start with verse number 26 of Surah Ar-Raad, that is the thunder, which is the 13th surah in the Quran, 13th chapter. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Allahu yabsutu rizqa liman yasha'u wa yaqdiru wa farihul bil hayatid dunya wa mal hayatud dunya fil akhirati illa mata. So God expands the provision for whomever He wills and straightens it for whomsoever He wills. They, that is the unbelievers, take delight in the pleasures of this world, which compared to the hereafter is but a poor bargain. So here this point is being emphasized, that being rich or poor, having plenty or not having enough, is not a sign of success, because some of the really spiritually elevated people have lived with a very little provision in this world. And the foremost example is that of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who chose poverty as his path. God has some wisdom in giving plenty to others and want to others. There is good for some in plenty and for others in poverty. And wealth is not a measure of success. And the real success, of course, is the success of the hereafter. So here they is being referred to the unbelievers. They take delight in the pleasures of this world, which compared to the hereafter is but a poor bargain. One of the companions of the Prophet, Abu Darda, said that when you detest this world, you will come to love the next world, and you will abstain from this world according to your measure of love for the next world. This has been stated by Ghazali, and it is from Abu Darda. وَيَقُولُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لَوْلَا أُنزِلَ عَلَيْهِ آيَةٌ مِّن رَبِّهِ قُلْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُضِلُّ مَن يَشَاءُ وَيَهْدِي إِلَيْهِ مَنْ أَنَابَ. The unbelievers say, why was not a sign sent to him by his Lord? Say, indeed God lets to go astray whom He wills and guides to Himself the one who turns to Him repenting. The word sign is the translation of the Arabic word ayat, and this in the Quran often refers to the miracles that the prophets showed. Now, ayat is a word, we have discussed this many times before, but it's worth repeating. Ayat or signs of God are many. The prophets themselves are signs of God. The books that they brought are signs of God. The miracles that they showed are signs of God. And also, the verses of the Quran are also called ayat because they mention the signs of God. Besides that, in the physical world, we know that all the beauty of nature and the mysteries of nature and the complexities of nature are all signs of God. The unbelievers in every prophet's time used to say, show us a sign, show us some miracles. And here they are saying, why was not a sign sent to him by his Lord? Actually, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had miracles accompanying him all the time. If you read his biography, you will find out all the things that happened and all that he did. But he was not showing the miracles as a display of his power or of his prophethood, the way the former prophets were supposed to do. And this was because this was a time when mankind had reached the stage when they were supposed to believe through their intellectual powers and not through being overawed by miracles. So here the word say, Qul, is addressed to the Prophet, and he's being told, indeed God lets to go astray whom He wills and guides to Himself the one who turns to Him repenting. That is, tell them that if you turn to God, then He will show you the right way. But if you keep rejecting God and the prophets, and if you keep rejecting all the signs of God, like the books and the miracles and everything else that the Prophet has taught, then God will let him go astray. Now here we come to this very important point where even some important commentators are sort of, I think I don't know how to say it because they are great scholars, but they have not seen the truth in this. Because they keep saying God lets to go astray anyone that He wants to, and He guides anyone He wants to. This is like an arbitrary selection by God that so-and-so will go to heaven and so-and-so will go to hell. But that is not true. God gives everybody a time, a reprieve. And if one keeps disbelieving and defying defying the prophets and their teachings and everything that goes with it, then if their reprieve is over, then they are allowed to go astray. Then you can say that God will let them go astray or He will misguide them. But He does not decide on His own as to who is going to go astray and who's going to be on the right path. So He lets to go astray whom He wills and guides to Himself the one who turns to Him. So only those people are given guidance, it is said, who have a sincere desire and thirst for it. And the one who turns to Him, that is, turns to God, repenting within the reprieve that is given to him, then he is the one who will be selected by God to move closer to Him and, of course, for rewards in the hereafter. So the person who turns to Him does not stay in one spot. He keeps trying to move closer and closer to God. And then he reaches a stage where nothing perturbs him, and the person who has, who has turned fully to God, then nothing will perturb him in this world, and his main focus will be upon God and God's pleasure. So this is supposed to be the aim and object of those who want to be guided, and therefore they are guided. Allazina amanu wa tatmainnu qulubuhum bi zikrillah, ala bi zikrillahi tatmainnul qulub. Now this is a very important verse of this surah, verse number 28. Those who believe and whose hearts find peace in the remembrance of God should remember that only in the remembrance of God is there peace for the hearts. So one important point made here is that the tatmainnul qulub, that is the peace, itminan, or peace for the heart, true peace can be found only in the remembrance of God. Remembering zikrillah, zikr is repeatedly remembering God through any of the things that one likes, like the names of God, Asmaul Husna, or any of the verses, or what one has been taught by somebody who is more experienced. And that is the remembrance of God. But remembrance of God is not restricted to our taking up the tasbih or the subha and just repeating the words, but remembrance of God, when one gets entrenched in this practice, then one finds that one is the whole time, all the time in one's life, one starts doing things in which he, according to God's wishes, that means he is remembering God throughout his waking life. As long as he's awake, he's aware of God and he's doing everything according to the pleasure of God. So here it is stated very clearly that peace is to be found in the remembrance of God. And some people believe that this refers to the Sufis, whose main focus is on the remembrance of God and nothing else. And some think that zikr is the nur, the light of God, which clears the darkness of doubt and nourishes the soul, and the person turns to good deeds and creates strength, and such great strength in the person that even shaitan is frightened of that person who is doing so much of zikr and remembrance of God in his as a ritual as well as in his daily life. Also, this verse is also very important, verse number 28 of Surah Ar-Raad, because the only way to peace, we know that the only way to peace and is the contemplation of God. And this verse, which is recited 3 times after every obligatory prayer, is believed to help control cardiovascular ailments and high blood pressure. So we know that the Quran has shifa in it, it has healing, and the whole of the Quran has healing, but some verses are specially mentioned for certain particular purposes. So this will not only bring about peace, but it also will help in certain ailments like cardiovascular ailments and high blood pressure. Allazina amanu wa amilu salihati tuba lahum wa husnu ma'ab. As for those who believe and do the right, for them is joy and an excellent journey's end. So who do the right, of course, we know what is the right. The right begins with belief in God and the Prophet and all the other prophets and all that the prophets taught. Especially if one believes in the last prophet of his time, then one is supposed to be a Muslim. No matter which prophet one believed in his own time. If a person has believed in the last prophet of his time, then he's supposed to be a Muslim. But these days, Islam and Muslim has come to mean only the followers of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now we're on Tuba. I wanted to explain the word Tuba and verse number 29. This can mean joyous state of the people in paradise, and a beautiful and being, having a beautiful and blissful life in paradise. And this is achieved mainly by the Nafs Mutmainna. You remember we have discussed the three broad stages of the development of the soul. And the Nafs Mutmainna is the final and the highest state that a nafs or a ruh or a soul can achieve. And this is the stage in which the person is not perturbed by anything that anyone is doing to him. No harm that somebody does to him will make him retaliate. His whole focus is on God, and he's in a blissful state. That is why this Nafs Mutmainna has been translated into English as the blissful state of the soul. The word Tuba also means a tree in paradise which has a gold trunk and leaves of silk and fruit which has beautiful colors. And as we said before, it also means blessedness and good life in this world as well as in paradise. Now, if we start taking these things too literally, like how can a tree be of gold and how can there be silk leaves and how can be there different colored fruit in one tree, then it will become a little difficult for us to understand all this. But these are only metaphors, and since it is not possible for us to imagine the whole life of the next world, all the beauty of it, therefore it has been explained to us in the terms that we understand. For example, in the Quran itself, God's face has been mentioned and God's hands have been mentioned, but they obviously are not like our face and hands, and we just know this because of the purpose for which God is using His power. Now, those who believe and do the right, and for them the result is that there is joy and an excellent journey's end. So the end should be the aim and objective. We should not get distracted by too many things on the way. Of course, we have to live this life fully as well and do all our duties as well as what we like to do. All that has been permitted to us, but this should not be our main focus or as our objective. The objective is the next life, and that has been called here an excellent journey's end, husno ma'ab. And this can happen only to those who turn to God, especially in repentance. One can say, I've done nothing wrong, why should I repent? But even the Prophet used to do astaghfar several times a day. So that is also a way of getting closer to God. كَذَلِكَ أَرْسَلْنَاكَ فِي أُمَّةٍ قَدْ خَلَتْ مِنْ قَبْلِهَا أُمَمٌ لِتَتْلُوا عَلَيْهِمُ الَّذِي أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْكَ وَهُمْ يَكْفُرُونَ بِالرَّحْمَنِ قُلْ هُوَ رَبِّي لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا هُوَ عَلَيْهِ تَوَكَّلْتُ وَإِلَيْهِ مَتَابِ. Thus we sent you to a nation. Who is you is, of course, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Arsalnaka, the ka means you. So Prophet Muhammad is mostly addressed in the Quran. Thus we sent you to a nation before which many nations have passed, so that you would recite to them what we have revealed to you. Of course, that is the Quran. They are denying the most merciful. Most merciful is the translation of Bir-Rahman. Wa yakfuruna Bir-Rahman. They are denying the most merciful. Say, He is my Lord. There is no other deity but He. In Him have I placed my complete trust, and in Him is my refuge. And now, this also refers to a certain incident in which it is said that most merciful Abu Jahl saw the Prophet praying near the Kaaba, and he was saying, Ya Allah, Ya Rahman. Rahman has been translated here as the most merciful. So he was very pleased and he ran to his friends and said, Muhammad is now praying to two gods, Rahman and Allah and Rahman. And therefore this verse was revealed that the Rahman is also one of the names of Allah. And according to Hazrat Ibn Abbas, who is one of the great commentators of the Quran, he says that when the Prophet asked the Makkans to prostrate to Rahman, and they said, who is Rahman, So all these things had to be explained, and here it has been explained that the most merciful or Rahman is, say, he is my Lord. So he is the same Lord with another name. There is no deity but he, la ilaha illa huwa. In him have I placed my complete trust, and in him is my refuge. So complete trust is tawakkul. Alayhi tawakkaltu. That means I have placed my full trust in God. So this is also a very important quality that one has to develop. No matter what happens to one, if one has a strong faith, if one has developed a strong faith, then no matter what happens, you will still say, no, my God intends something good for me. Allah intends something good for me. And I'm sure that the result of all that I'm suffering at the moment will turn out to be something good. We just read verse number 30. There is also an incident of the Bayt Rizwan, which was done at Hudaybiyah between the Prophet and his companions and the kuffar of Makkah, the mushrikeen. And when they wrote Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim in the pact that they was going to sign, they said, we don't know who Rahman is. So I think that was removed just for that time. وَلَوْ أَنَّا قُرْآنًا سُيِّرَتْ بِهِ الْجِبَالُ وَقُطِّعَتْ بِهِ الْأَرْضُ وَكُلِّمَ بِهِ الْمَوْتَى بَلِلَّهِ الْأَمْرُ جَمِيعًا أَفَلَمْ يَيْأَسِ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَن لَّوْ يَشَاءُ اللَّهُ لَهَدَى النَّاسَ جَمِيعًا وَلَا يَزَالُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا تُصِيبُهُم بِمَا صَنَعُوا قَارِعَةٌ أَوْ تَحُلُّ قَرِيبًا مِّن دَارِهِمْ حَتَّى يَأْتِيَ وَعْدُ اللَّهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُخْلِفُ الْمِيعَادَ. So if there had been a Quran which would move the mountains or tear the earth apart or make the dead speak, they would still not believe. In fact, they would still not believe is not in the Quran, but this is understood. In fact, God is in full command over everything. Are not the believers aware that if God had so pleased, he would have guided all of mankind? The unbelievers will always remain in a state of misery because of what they did, or their neighborhoods will be visited by disasters until God's promise is fulfilled. Indeed, God does not break his promise. Now, these three things which have been mentioned here, if there had been a Quran which moved the mountains or torn the earth apart or made the dead speak, these three things were some of the demands that the Makkans made to the Prophet. They said, we'll believe that you're a prophet if you can move all these mountains here in Makkah and make this into a very fertile place so that we can grow our crops here. Or tear the earth apart so that rivers would rush out of the earth. Or make the dead speak. They said, why don't you, if you think that, on the day of judgment, the dead will be raised again, so why don't you raise one of our ancestors now and make them speak to us so that we start believing in you. So these were the miracles that they wanted to see. Now here God says that it is said in the Quran that are not the believers aware that if God had so pleased, he would have guided all of mankind. Now this point also is repeated many times in the Quran, that God did not want to forcefully guide everybody or bring everyone to the same faith, but he gave them a choice. He gave human beings and the jinns a choice. This is the right path and this is the wrong path. This leads to heaven and this leads to hell. And just by making the angels bow to Adam, it was shown that this is the high stage that a person, a human being, can reach if he does all the things which are right. And I think we mentioned this earlier, that if all of mankind had been guided, had been forced to follow the same path, then I think we mentioned Rashid Rida as a commentator, modern commentator. In his tafsir, he says, if this had been done, then the human beings would have been like bees and ants, because the bees and ants just do what they're supposed to do, and they do not have any of their own will in that function. And in the spiritual life, he thinks that everybody would have been like the angels, because the angels are extremely pure creatures, but they do not have any will of their own. They just follow the instructions. So the purpose of creating this world and the people and everything else in it was not to make human beings also like the bees and the ants and the angels, but to give them a chance to rise much higher. And this can be done only by following the prophets. The unbelievers will always remain in a state of misery because of what they did, or their neighborhoods will be visited by disasters. So the misery and disasters will be their lot. Why? Because of, they will suffer themselves or their children and property because of what they did. That is, what did they do? They disbelieved and they mistreated the prophets. Most of the prophets, when they came to a nation, they were made fun of, they were mistreated, and the Bani Israelis are supposed to have killed many of the prophets until God's promise is fulfilled. God's promise, according to some commentators, is the conquest of Makkah or the punishment on the Day of Judgment. And disasters here will be visited by disasters, will be, it can also, besides the physical and ecological catastrophes, it can also mean social catastrophes, fratricidal wars, and deprivations will be a lot of those who deny the truth. And even Muhammad also says that suffering because of the deterioration of the environment is also one of these disasters. We are now verse number 32. وَلَقَدْ اسْتُهْزِئَ بِرُسُلٍ مِّن قَبْلِكَ فَأَمْلَيْتُ لِلَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا ثُمَّ أَخَذْتُهُمْ فَكَيْفَ كَانَ عِقَابِ. The messengers who came before you were also ridiculed, but I gave respite to the unbelievers, and then I caught them. How terrible was my punishment. So the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is being addressed here, that all the messengers who came before you were also ridiculed. Remember, we read about Hazrat Nuh ﷺ, who was building a boat in a dry place, and they all made fun of him and laughed at him that he had lost his mind. So even if they are ridiculing the Prophet, he's being told this is the way of these people, of the unbelievers, so you should not take it to heart. And then it is said here, I gave respite to the unbelievers and then I caught them. So you see, this is what I've been trying to say, that everyone is given a respite or a reprieve or a time during which they are expected to come to the right path. But if they still persist, then they are caught and they are punished. We are now on verse number 33. أَفَمَنْ هُوَ قَائِمٌ عَلَى كُلِّ نَفْسٍ بِمَا كَسَبَتْ وَجَعَلُوا لِلَّهِ شُرَكَاءَ قُلْ سَمُّوهُمْ أَمْ تُنَبِّئُونَهُ بِمَا لَا يَعْلَمُ فِي الْأَرْضِ أَمْ بِظَاهِرٍ مِنَ الْقَوْلِ بل زين للذين كفروا مكرهم وصدوا عن سبيلي ومن يضلل الله فما له من هاد. Can he who stands guard over the deeds of every soul be like their idols? This, of course, refers to God. Yet they have assigned partners to him. Say, name them. Are you informing him about that which he does not know on the earth? Or are you indulging in loose talk? The scheming of the unbelievers has been made to look pleasing to them, and they have been barred from the right path. The one whom God allows to go astray, there is no one to guide aright. Again, the same concept is being discussed here, that they have been given a respite, and also they are being asked that, are you trying to tell God or those messengers who have been sent by God that there are other gods as well? Does he not know everything already? Zahirim min al-qawl has been translated here as loose talk. That is, words with no inward meaning and based on a false opinion. So the scheming of the unbelievers has been made to look pleasing to them. So when they persisted, then Zuyyana, that is, it was made to look pleasing or beautiful to them or attractive to them, and they have been barred from the right path. They were not barred to begin with, but after they persisted. The one whom God allows to go astray, there is no one to guide. لهم عذاب في الحياة الدنيا والعذاب الآخرة أشق وما لهم من الله من واق. For them is punishment in this world, while the punishment of the hereafter will be even more severe. There will be no one to save them from God. Punishment in this world, of course, there are all kinds of punishments in this world. For example, nations have been made slaves or people have been made slaves, slavery, illness, affliction, all the kinds of sources of pain, and also death. So for them is punishment in this world, while the punishment of the hereafter will be extremely severe. Why will it be more severe? Because there will be no death. At least death provides a kind of relief from suffering and pain. But there it is said that one who has entered hell, one who has been condemned, not who's being punished for a while, but one who has been condemned, he will be Khalidina fiha. That person will be in hell forever. Masalul jannati allati wa'idal muttaqun tajri min tahtiha al-anharu ukuluha da'imun wa zilluha tilka uqbal lazina taqaw وَأُقْبَلْ كَافِرِينَ النَّارِ. The semblance of paradise which has been promised the pious is that there are rivers flowing by. Its fruit is everlasting as well as its shade. This is the destination of those who are conscious of God, while the destination of the unbelievers is the fire. So this again, the semblance of paradise. It's not saying that paradise is like this, but the semblance, masalul jannati, the semblance of paradise, because we cannot really imagine what real paradise will be like. It has been described for our benefit through the things that we already know. Description by something that is familiar to us. So all the blessings here it is said, ukulaha daimun wa zilluha. That is, all the blessings of paradise are everlasting. Daimun is everlasting. So all the blessings will be everlasting. For example, here it is said there are rivers flowing by, its fruit is everlasting as well as its shade. So one doesn't want to be exposed to great heat, therefore the shade will also be a blessing. This is the destination of those who are conscious of God. This is the destiny of the people who are on the right path, while the destination of the unbelievers is the fire. Verse number 36, وَالَّذِينَ آتَيْنَاهُمُ الْكِتَابَ يَفْرَحُونَ بِمَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكَ وَمِنَ الْأَحْزَابِ مَن يُنْكِرُ بَعْضَهُ قُلْ إِنَّمَا أُمِرْتُ أَنْ أَعْبُدَ اللَّهَ وَلَا أُشْرِكَ بِهِ إِلَيْهِ أَدْعُو وَإِلَيْهِ مَآبِ. Those to whom we have given the book rejoice at what has been revealed to you. You, of course, again is Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. While among the groups are some who deny some of the Quran. Say, I have been commanded to worship God and not to ascribe partners to Him. To Him I call out, and to Him is the return. To those whom we have given the book, here according to many commentators, it refers to Abdullah bin Salam, who was a very prominent and highly knowledgeable scholar of the Bani Israelis at the time of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and he accepted Islam. So to those whom we have given the book, rejoice at what has been revealed to you. So these are and it also refers to some of his companions who also accepted Islam. So they rejoiced at what has been revealed because they were waiting for the last prophet. And when Prophet Muhammad announced his prophethood and the book was being revealed, then they believed in it. And some people think that the rejoicing is also refers to the companions of the prophet. What has been revealed to you, that is all the knowledge and the injunctions and everything else that was given to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. And while among the groups are some who deny the Quran. They deny those parts of the Quran. Many of the people of the book deny those parts of the Quran which they do not want to follow. And if they find it some difficulty physically, for example, they have to get up, they have to say their prayers 5 times a day, especially in winter, the Fajr prayers are difficult to say, and so on. So if they find, or even fasting is a physical, it's a kind of a test of your physical strength as well as the spiritual strength. So if they find something difficult to follow physically, and they find if they find a superior social position being eroded. For example, if there are some leaders of tribes who, even if they believe that this is a true prophet, he is a true prophet, they do not submit to him because then their leadership will be eroded. Or some of them do not want to give in charity, give out zakat or other charity, and they do not want to give from their wealth. So all these things are things that they find are hindrances to their accepting the faith. I'd like to mention here, one more word I wanted to explain. Al-Azab here in this verse number 36, Azab means the groups. And among the groups are some who deny some of the Quran. Some of the Quran we have already discussed because they believe some of it, they believe there's one God and so on, but for certain personal reasons, they do not want to follow it. And Azab means the parties or groups or sects, and it can also mean followers of other religions and other creeds. So it was the practice that, even if you're following different creeds, but when a new prophet came, you were supposed to believe in him. But they always had some axe to grind, and they did not. Some of the Jews and the Christians accepted the positive aspects and rejected what was specific to Islam. For example, Prophet Muhammad's prophethood. Now that was a very important part which they rejected. And of course, even when based on the truth, if there was something they did not like to follow, then they rejected it. Now this is something very important here. These verses in Arabic from these words, قُلْ إِنَّمَا أُمِرْتُ أَنْ أَعْبُدَ اللَّهَ وَلَا أُشْرِكَ بِهِ إِلَيْهِ أَدُوُّ وَإِلَيْهِ مَآبِ. This is supposed to be a great help if one is teaching somewhere and one recites these words 3 times before if the teacher recites these 3 times before starting to teach, then it is said that he will be helped spiritually and his teaching will become easier and also more useful. وَكَذَلِكَ أَنزَلْنَاهُ حُكْمًا عَرَبِيًّا وَلَئِنِ اتَّبَعْتَ أَهْوَاءَهُمْ بَعْدَ مَا جَاءَكَ مِنَ الْعِلْمِ مَا لَكَ مِنَ اللَّهِ مِنْ وَلِيٍّ وَلَا وَاقٍ. This is how we have revealed the commandment in Arabic, and if you follow them after having received knowledge, you will have neither friend nor helper against God. Now, كَذَلِكَ أَنزَلْنَاهُ حُكْمًا عَرَبِيًّا, that is, the Quran has commandments, or it can be the judge in Arabic, judges between truth and falsehood in the Arabic language. The Quran has also been called a criterion because it sets the criterion for what is right and what is wrong, what is true and what is false, and it has been sent in the Arabic language. It also contains the rulings found in Islam. Now, when we believe that Prophet Muhammad was sent to all of mankind, then why was this sent in the Arabic language? Because that was the language of the nation of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, and of course, then from there the teaching was supposed to go to the whole world. We believe so many times we have come across concepts which make it clear that the Prophet is a prophet for all mankind and for all times to come, and he is a universal prophet. But here it is being said to him and also his followers that if you start following them, that is the unbelievers, if you start accepting any of the things they want you to accept, after having received knowledge, you will have neither friend nor helper against God. Sometimes they would say, just remove this word from the Quran, just do this little bit. In the beginning, they used to come and say, all right, we're ready to believe in you and pray with you, but then you will also have to pray with us, pray to our gods, or maybe pray with us for 1 year and then we'll pray with you the next year. So all these things or if you want wealth, we'll give you all the wealth. If you want to marry a certain woman, we'll make her available to you, and so on and so forth. But of course, the Prophet knew what he was supposed to do. And in this case, if you follow them after having received the knowledge, this is also mainly addressed to the community of his followers, because they were also being tempted by the hypocrites in Medina all the time. Now we are in verse number 38. وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا رُسُلًا مِّن قَبْلِكَ وَجَعَلْنَا لَهُمْ أَزْوَاجًا وَذُرِّيَّةً وَمَا كَانَ لِرَسُولٍ أَن يَأْتِيَ بِآيَةٍ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ لِكُلِّ أَجَلٍ كِتَابٌ. Indeed, we sent many messengers before you, and we conferred on them spouses and offspring. It is not in the power of a messenger to bring a sign without God's permission. For every period, there is a revealed law. So we have sent many messengers before you, and we conferred on them spouses and offspring. Now the reason for mention is because the unbelievers objected. They said that this prophet says, I have been appointed by God, and also that he receives revelation from heaven, from God. But he leads a very normal life. He has wives and children, and he visits the marketplace, and he eats food. So how can he be a prophet sent by God? So here this argument is being answered, and we sent many messengers before you, and we conferred on them spouses and offspring. So all the messengers before you had families. And also every time they were trying to ask the prophet to bring about a miracle, and it is said here, it is not in the power of a messenger to bring a sign without God's permission. So the miracles are sent by God, and they're also carried out through the power of God. In fact, if you remember, Prophet Hazrat Isa alayhi salam, that is Jesus, when he talks about his miracles, they are mentioned in the Quran. He says, I do this, this and this, bi-iznillah, with the permission of God or with the power of God. So that means he does not claim any power. No prophet claims any power. He always says, all this that I do is from God. Yamhullaha ma yasha wa yusabbit wa indahu ummul kitab. God abrogates whatever he pleases and establishes whatever he pleases. With him is the source of all books. Abrogates whatever he pleases. That is, he erases whatever he thinks right. Now, some people do not believe that any verses or words have been abrogated in the Quran. But we find that, for example, there are some injunctions which came gradually. For example, injunction about the prohibition of alcohol. And this came in 3 stages. At first it was said there is some good in it, but there is more harm. Then it was said, do not get into this, do not take a intoxicating drink at the time of your prayer. So then people stop drinking during the day. During when the prayers come closer together, then they would not drink. This is a habit which does not go away so easily. So that is why it was made a gradual thing, so that people could gradually absorb the concept as well as change their practice. And then finally, in Surah Al-Imran, it said, this has now been banned. It is the work of shaitan. And now it was declared that no more would any trading or any use of alcoholic or intoxicating drinks be allowed anymore. So this came gradually. Now, if we say nothing has been abrogated, then when it is said there is some good in it, but there is more evil, then you would say, okay, I'm drinking it for the good in it. I'm not drinking it for the evil part of it. Or when it was said, do not be in a state of intoxication when you are praying, then they would say, okay, I'll drink it the other time. But those verses are obviously abrogated. They are erased by the last, which said this is now final and irrevocable. So there are some scholars, some very important scholars, who think that nothing can be abrogated in the Quran, but that I don't agree with them, because some things are so obvious. And also about the fasting. Fasting is not an easy thing to do. One has to have a strong faith. And that was also introduced in stages. Indahu Ummul Kitab. In Ummul Kitab here has been explained as the knowledge of God. Of course, the source of all books is the Law al-Mahfuz. It is also can be translated as the preserved tablet. It's somewhere in the 7th heaven, and is supposed to contain all the decrees of God. And all the revealed books, including the Quran, are also preserved in it. Now, the Law al-Mahfuz has been mentioned several times in the Quran, in Surah Al-Buruj, verse number 22, and other places. And according to the great commentator Ibn Abbas, who was a cousin of the Prophet, that Allah Ta'ala erases whatever He wishes from the Law al-Mahfuz. That means normally one thinks that is sort of, it can never be erased, or it is can never be abrogated, but God, if He wishes, can erase whatever He wants to. I don't know if we can carry on anymore. Yes, another point here about abrogation is that some scholars who are living today, and they're also supposed to be commentators of the Quran, they think that the earlier books brought by the earlier prophets have not been abrogated. They think that they are still extant. They think that we can also follow those books. Now, I do not agree with this opinion, because those books have been corrupted to a great extent. I believe that a lot of it still has some of the words of God, but a lot of it has been added or changed. So one should respect those books and not say anything wrong against them or treat them, like trash, but one cannot follow them. And if you just, pick up some of these books and you start reading them, you'll understand what I'm trying to say. So even a commentator like Muhammad Asad thinks that earlier books and revelations have been abrogated. That means they cannot be followed now. They cannot be practiced. They cannot be made the basis of your practice. Now, this leads us to a discussion about fate or destiny, because if everything has been written on the Law al-Mahfuz, then what about our future and our destiny, our fate? And it has been discussed that there are two kinds of fate. One is muallaq, that is suspended, or that means conditional, that means it can be changed. And the other kind of fate is, destiny is mubram, that is, it is final and irrevocable. And we find several ahadith about this, that if a person is good to his relatives and if he does these things, then his fate can be changed. His lifespan can be increased, or he can be given other things which were not there in his fate to begin with. I think we started a little late, so if you don't mind, we can carry on a little more. وَإِمَّا نُرِيَنَّكَ بَعْضَ الَّذِي نَعِدُهُمْ أَوْ نَتَوَفَّيَنَّكَ فَإِنَّمَا عَلَيْكَ الْبَلَاغُ وَعَلَيْنَا الْحِسَابُ. Whether we show you some of the punishment we have promised them, or call you back before that, your duty is to convey the message. It is up to us to settle the account. Again, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is being addressed here, and he's saying that if we bring about some severe punishment on those people who are unbelievers, disbelievers, those who are persecuting you, we can call you back before. That means we can give them the punishment after you have come to us, that is, after you have left this world, or we can do it before that. It is up to us to settle the account. That is, God can do this whenever He wants to. Now, some people ask this question, why is it that God refers to Himself sometimes in the plural gender, like here it is said, us, alayna. It is up to us to settle, and sometimes it is in the singular. And the times when the plural is used, it is also referred to as the royal plural. When the plural is used, it means that God's power and might and His majesty is being expressed. أَوَلَمْ يَرَوْا أَنَّا نَأْتِي الْأَرْضَ نَنْقُصُهَا مِنْ أَطْرَافِهَا وَاللَّهُ يَحْكُمُ لَا مُعَقِّبَ لِحُكْمِهِ وَهُوَ سَرِيعُ الْحِسَابِ. Have they not noticed that we are reducing their sphere of influence in the land? God's command is final and none can reverse it, and He is quick in reckoning. So reducing the sphere, of course, in this case refers to the sphere of influence of the people of Makkah, those who were opposing the Prophet, the mushrikeen of Makkah. And the word here, the Arabic here, nanqusuha min atrafiha, that means that it has also been explained as a kind of a turn of fortune, because these people were those people who thought they were very powerful and they were the leaders of the Quraysh. That means there will be a turn of fortune for them. They will experience humiliation after glory, etc. And it can also mean loss of ethical values, which can lead to destruction. This, of course, mainly refers to giving the Prophet ﷺ success and the people in the surrounding, because the people in the surrounds of Makkah, they were accepting Islam at a great speed. So the sphere of influence of the Makkans was being reduced. وَقَدْ مَكَرَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ فَلِلَّهِ الْمَكْرُ جَمِيعًا يَعْلَمُ مَا تَكْسِبُ كُلُّ نَفْسٍ وَسَيَعْلَمُ الْكُفَّارُ لِمَنْ أُخْبَى الدَّارِ. Those who went before them had also conspired, but God has the absolute power to plan. He is aware of what is earned by each soul. The unbelievers will soon learn for whom is the reward of the hereafter. Plan. Now the word in Arabic, the word used here is makar. Makar means plotting, and it's not used in a good sense. But when it is used for God, then it is translated as a plan, planned by God. And the disbelievers, when they are referred to, it is said that they are plotting. So, makar al-lazina min qablihim, that is, the people who came before them also had plotted, but for God He has the absolute power to plan well. And He's aware of what is earned by each soul. He knows the deeds of each soul. And the unbelievers will soon learn for whom is the reward of the hereafter. Because at the moment, they say that our idols will save us and we will also go, some of them said, we will also go to heaven. But on the day of judgment, everything will become obvious, and we know what will be the result. And a spiritual explanation of this is from the heart of the sincere believer. God removes his interest in the things of this world, and his focus becomes God alone. Okay, now I think we can stop here. But actually, there is only one verse left in this surah, so I think we must finish this. وَيَقُولُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لَسْتَ مُرْسَلًا قُلْ كَفَى بِاللَّهِ شَهِيدًا بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَكُمْ وَمَنْ عِنْدَهُ عِلْمُ الْكِتَابِ. Those who are unbelievers say, you are not a messenger. Say, God is sufficient as witness between me and you, as well as those who have the knowledge of the book. So again, the topic about people denying the messenger, they are saying that you are not a messenger because of all the reasons that they had given earlier. And say, the Prophet is being asked to say to them, to reply to them, God is sufficient as witness between me and you, as well as those who have the knowledge of the book. Now, who are the people who have the knowledge of the book? Those who know the Quran and its unique nature, or the important Jewish scholar that we have already referred to, Abdullah bin Salam and his Jewish, and other Jewish and Christian scholars, they have the knowledge of the book, who know about Prophet Muhammad from their books. You see, we know that every book mentioned the last prophet who would come later. But then the Bani Israelis removed the portions which mentioned the last prophet when they learned that the last prophet was not from their community. According to Karam Shah, this refers to the Khulafai Rashdeen, because they also knew the book very well. And also, Allama Suyuti says that besides Abdullah bin Salam, this refers to Asif bin Barkia. He was the person who brought the throne of the Queen of Saba from her palace to Hazrat Sulaiman's palace within the winking of an eye, even shorter than that. And it is said that a jinn offered to bring it, but then a person who had knowledge of the book, he said, I will bring it in even a shorter time. And he did, even before people could blink an eye. So, of course, at that time, the Quran had not been revealed, but he had knowledge of whatever books had been revealed by then, and he must have been a very spiritually elevated person. So, I think now we have to stop now anyway, because this is the end of the chapter. I'd like to read a hadith here, which Hazrat Ali, the Prophet ﷺ said to Hazrat Ali, that charity spent in the right place, being kind to parents, and also being kind to other people are the virtues that change bad luck into good and increases the person's age and protects him from bad results. This is what we were saying about the Law al-Mahfuz. And Abu Huraira has said that Sila Rahmi, that is keeping blood relationships intact, will result in increasing the provision and lengthening one's life. And also Hazrat Thoban has said that fate can be changed by prayer. So if one keeps praying, that maybe if your prayer is answered, then your fate can also be changed. Alhamdulillah, we have finished the Surah Ar-Raad, and inshallah next time we will start with Surah Ibrahim, which is the 14th chapter in the Quran. If there are any questions, we can take them now. The question is, I mentioned verse number 28 as being helpful in the treatment of cardiovascular ailments and also high blood pressure. And if it is said that if one recites it 3 times after every obligatory prayer, then it will relieve that person or patient from those illnesses. All right, now I think we can say a little prayer. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وادخلنا الجنة مع الأبرار يا عزيز يا غفار يا رب العالمين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين آمين ثم آمين. As I have said earlier, we've discussed this several times, that half of this is from the Quran, this dua, and half has been added to it later. And the part from the Quran, Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanatam wa fil akhirati hasanatam wa qina azaban nar, it means, O our Lord, give us the best in this life and the best in the next life, and save us from the punishment of the fire. So this is a very comprehensive prayer, and it sort of covers everything that we might wish. So I like this prayer, and the second part has been added later. Another prayer that we say, a very short one, is from Surah Ad-Duha. Just one sentence from Surah Ad-Duha. Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Walal akhiratu khairul laka minal ula. Ameen. It means, and may your every tomorrow, or may your future be better than every tomorrow, may be better than every today, or your future might be better than today. So this is also a kind of a prayer which gives you a kind of a progressive, success. Ameen, summa ameen. Thank you everyone for joining us, and inshallah we'll see you next week. Thank you. Jazakallah.